Ryuta Sakamoto spends all day every day playing an online video game known as Batum, a unique game where players can only use bombs with up to 8 types of bombs known as BIMs and sonar seekers at their disposal. Ryuta ended up becoming ranked as the 10th best player in the world, though he aims to become number 1. As a 22-year-old NEET, Ryuta wastes away his youth by playing Batum in his room, his reason being that the game lets him bask in the fantasy of being strong. Ryuta has found comfort in this virtual world. He even has an in-game wife called Himiko. One day, after gaming all day, he goes to sleep only to open his eyes to an unfamiliar surrounding. He is stuck dangling from a tree with a parachute attached to him. He eventually gets down, but doesn't have any memory of how he ended up in a forest. He notices a sort of green glass embedded in his left hand. His mind goes straight to being kidnapped by a UFO. Going a few steps further, he finds a bag containing a change of clothing, a phone charger, and tons of tea. Ryuta deduces that he was probably heading somewhere the previous night. He starts looking around to figure out where exactly he has ended up. So far, he has run into several bugs and insects. He keeps running and running until he tumbles out of the forest and lands in some sand. In front of him is a vast expanse of water. He has somehow ended up on an isolated island. He sits against a tree, trying to recall the previous night. The memories come in bits and pieces. He remembers yelling at his mother, Yuki Sakamoto, because she had wanted him to take up a job at a grocery store. He also remembers coming out of a convenience store and being approached by 2 buff men, questioning if he was Ryuta. Recalling any other information is giving him a headache. He finishes his lunch and questions who the fanny pack belongs to. Out of curiosity, he takes out a square object and accidentally presses a button. A backwards countdown begins. He doesn't have a good feeling about it and throws it further away. After a second, it explodes. Fear creeping up on him, he scans the pack, realizing that the objects are all bombs. Ryuta then notices someone coming out of the forest. It's Yoshiaki Imagawa. Ryuta yells towards the man, which was probably the wrong move because he gets greeted with a bomb. Suddenly, the realization sinks in. He is in the real-life version of Batum! Ryuta grabs his stuff and starts running back into the dense forest. Yoshiaki keeps throwing bombs, calling him a coward for running away. Ryuta makes it towards a cliff. Just when he thinks he has lost the guy, the man hits him with a bomb. Ryuta dodges it at the last second and is forced to use his bombs. He obviously doesn't have the skill to throw an actual bomb and misses his target twice. Ryuta decides to muster up the courage to confront the man, questioning him about the place, the bombs, and the green glass embedded into his skin, but the man isn't willing to give up any information. He throws another bomb at him and it explodes right next to Ryuta's face, injuring him. Ryuta starts running again, not having a clue as to why he has been targeted. Yoshiaki keeps throwing bombs at him mercilessly. As Ryuta lies on the ground, the memories of the game start to flood into his mind. He remembers that the green glass is the sonar scanner, and the bombs in his possession are the timer kind, which means he needs to throw them at an appropriate time. Moreover, Yoshiaki is using bombs called crackers, which explode as soon as they make contact with the target. He gathers the strength to fight back. After all, he is the 10th ranked player in the virtual version. He tries to get up when he hears the man figure out where he is hiding. Yoshiaki decides to throw bombs in both directions for easy targeting. Upon hearing this, Ryuta starts running like crazy and jumps straight into the water. Yoshiaki quickly makes his way towards the edge, looking down at the ripples. He cunningly informs Ryuta that he'll blow him up the moment Ryuta comes to the surface for air. Unbeknownst to him, Ryuta has already planned for his demise. The bomb between his feet had already been planted by the gamer before he jumped. It explodes right on time, blowing up Yoshiaki. Ryuta sees the scene from underwater. He feels sick to his stomach upon the realization of murdering a man and throws up on the rocks. He tells himself that he was left with no other choice. It was either kill or be killed. Ryuta notices the man's pack of bombs on the shore. He has to take them in order to survive. A flashback begins. Ryuta is unsuccessful at getting a job at the game company called Tyrannus Japan. His mother interrupts his game and timidly tells him that she asked his uncle for a job at the udon restaurant run by him, but Ryuta refuses to join. He aggressively yells at her to leave him alone as he throws the joystick at the wall. The flashback ends and he wakes up hungry on the doomed island to a bright, sunny day, and the sight of Himiko washing her clothes across from him. He makes his way towards her. She only notices him at the last moment and freaks out. Himiko and Ryuta met for the first time in the online Batum when Ryuta's team had won yet another game. He had extended his hand in friendship, declaring that it was better to play the game than just sit as a spectator. Ryuta is unaware of the fact that Himiko has also ended up on the island. She looks back on her life as a foreigner in Japan, living the usual high school experience, hanging out with her friend Miho. gossiping about Ryuta from Batum, putting on cosplay suits and going to school. It's hard to digest the drastic turn her life has taken. Handed a bag of bombs without any explanation. Before meeting Ryuta on the island, Himiko was woken up by Isamu Kondo, a middle-aged teacher, assuring her that she doesn't need to be alarmed and they only want her to join their group. It consists of 2 other members, a former Japanese Special Defense Forces officer named Masashi Miyamoto and a teenager named Mitsuo Akechi. The older men start arguing after catching some fish. Masashi holds Himiko hostage, showing Isamu that his judo won't help him in such a situation. Himiko shocks him with her stun gun to get out of his tight grip. Mitsuo tries to de-escalate the situation by offering to keep their bombs in one place. They appoint Himiko as their leader to watch over the weapons. Her mind starts racing for an explanation. She comes to the conclusion that maybe because they think that she is a girl and ultimately weaker than them. Just then, a plane drops something. They go to check it out. To their joy, it has dropped food, water, body soap, and even sunscreen. The 3 of them start gobbling down their food when Isamu spots them. He isn't pleased at all and starts going on about how the food is already scarce and they should be sharing it instead. Masashi shuts him up by attacking him with a knife. A bit of the blood splatters on a horrified Himiko. Isamu struggles for a few seconds and then passes away against a tree. Another flashback begins. Himiko is going back from school with her friends. She has invited them, including Miho, to meet a band called Judgment Flash. Miho happens to have a crush on one of the members named Yoshioka. However, Himiko excuses herself to go back to her place. She is woken up by Mitsuo in the dark of the night, telling her to sneak away from Masashi before they end up as his next targets. They walk back into the forest with the weapons and other supplies, leaving the man with nothing. After walking for a bit, Mitsuo's radar signals that Masashi is running towards them. He grabs Himiko by the wrist and starts hurriedly running. She is confused, not understanding how he knows that they are being followed. But just then, her radar goes off as well, signaling her about Masashi's location. They make it to a roped bridge, but the man finds them with a knife in his hand before Mitsuo can make it to the other side. The latter realizes from Masashi's confused questioning that he doesn't know a thing about radars, but has the expertise to find their exact location. The boy quickly pulls out a bomb, throws it towards the man and starts running across the bridge. The smoke helps him escape without being followed, mainly because he possesses the blazing gas bomb. Even the plants in the area start to wilt. Even though they are out of danger, at least for the time being, Himiko wonders why Mitsuo won't let go of her wrist. He keeps talking about sticking together and staying on the rocky side of the island. Mitsuo insists that they have to prepare for the next fight before they end up dead. Himiko doesn't want to take any part in ending people's lives. She sees the image of Yoshioka flash in front of her and accidentally punches Mitsuo right in the face. His nose starts to bleed and his personality changes within seconds. He starts acting creepy, telling her that his mother's hits feel much better, and starts talking about himself in derogatory terms. Himiko doesn't know any better and uses her stun gun on him. He immediately foams up at the mouth and passes out. Another flashback begins. Himiko enters Yoshioka's house. There are several other pairs of shoes lying about, indicating that he's got company over. However, the scene that she witnesses isn't something anyone wants to anticipate. She sees 2 of her friends lying on the floor with their clothes disheveled and clearly abused. Yoshioka almost grabs her, but she slaps him and tries to get out of the house. Himiko stops dead in her tracks when she hears Miho from one of the rooms, desperately yelling to be saved. Though one of the men drags her further inside the room, Himiko gets out of there as quickly as her feet can take her away and calls for the police. Even though the men get arrested, her friends move further away from her. One night, she encounters an angry Miho, yelling at her about how she hates the girl and wishing for her disappearance. The haunting flashback ends, and Himiko wakes up to yet another nightmare of a reality on the island. She gets attacked by a wild Mitsuo, spit dripping from his mouth as he pounces on her. She swiftly takes out her stun gun, but the guy slaps it away from her hand. He menacingly tells her how he has mastered the use of the radar without her getting notified. He creepily tells her that he's about to punish her as he sits on top of her and goes straight to abusing her. The guilt of leaving her friends behind stops her from fighting against him. She feels helplessness seeping in, but then she fishes out a bomb. The only thought swimming in her head is that death is better than this. Upon hearing the beeping sound of the bomb, Mitsuo immediately jumps back and starts running away. Instead of taking her own life, she throws the bomb at him and he gets blasted off the cliff. Himiko doesn't feel an ounce of guilt for just murdering a man. His assault has opened her eyes to the reality of the island. Ryuta and Himiko encounter each other when she was busy washing herself clean from any remnants of the assault. She quickly packs her stuff and starts walking away. Himiko disappears into the dense forest without hearing what Ryuta has to say. He starts scanning the area. The radar picks a weak signal, but as soon as Ryuta reaches the rustling bushes, disappointingly, someone else pops out of it. The man is Kiyoshi Taira, a real estate agent. The bomb in Ryuta's hand has him terrified. He puts the bomb away and Taira gets up. The latter shares that he remembers how they ended up on the island. Ryuta wants to know everything. Taira begins to reiterate the events in detail. He informs Ryuta that some men in black attire hurled them into a plane. However, it wasn't a passenger plane, but rather a cargo one. He also remembers that there were other kidnapped people, all ranging in different ages, approximately 30 in number. The men in black attire were carrying stun guns with them. Then a man, the mastermind behind this game, Takanahashi, appears on the screen and starts explaining things as if they were going to enter a fun game show and not some murder fest. He explained that the hostages were being flown to an uninhabited tropical island somewhere in the Pacific, with no food or water. The only way to leave was to complete the game, and no resistance of any kind was going to be tolerated. He then holds up a bomb, telling them that they need to fight using bombs called BIMs. The people on the plane were outraged when they heard him and started protesting. But one of them receives a shock with a gun, subduing the rest. He smugly continued to say that the bombs were of 8 different types and none of them had a manual, so the hostages had to figure them out on their own. He lastly informs them about the green chip embedded in their left hand. The chip would allow them to recognize one another from a distance and would only detach from the body once the person was no longer alive. To clear the game, one must collect 7 of these chips. Just when the game planner was almost done explaining, he was interrupted by Ryuta angrily yelling at him for not distinguishing real from virtual. It seemed as if Ryuta knew the man, but the gamer doesn't remember anything. Probably because, according to Taira, the men gave him a high-voltage shock right on his head. Afterward, parachutes were put on all of them and were thrown out of the plane. Ryuta starts piecing things in his head. Now it makes sense the way he first woke up on the island, all tangled up in the tree with his parachute and blood on his hand from the fall. However, what he doesn't understand is why he has been forced to take part in this fatal game of survival, and why do all the rules of the game seem so similar to that of Batum. He knows someone who was behind the game from the company called Tyrannus Japan. But would a game company really be able to execute something like this on such a large scale? The feeling of despair starts to sink in when he realizes that there is no way out, but to commit the crime he did the first night on the island, over and over again, 6 more times. Taira interrupts his trail of thoughts, inviting him to join him in this awful game. Though he doesn't want to take part in killing anyone, Ryuta thinks it over, because that's just naive of the man to think that he'll be able to get off the island some other way. But then again, if Ryuta had never played Batum, he would have thought the same way. The gamer decides that it's better to team up with Taira than being on his own. However, he has a condition. He wants to know the sort of BIMs the man is carrying in order to gauge if he would really be safe with him. Taira declines. In his opinion, he won't be able to trust Ryuta after that, unless the latter is willing to show him what his 2 packs contain. However, it would be best if they keep this to themselves, because without knowing what the other is carrying, will only make them respect each other, because these bombs are like their nuclear weapons. Ryuta is surprised at how smart that older man sounds. Surviving Batum doesn't only mean being good with the bombs, you need to have the skill of dealing with people, and Taira clearly possesses that. Ryuta decides to use it to his advantage. He informs the man that they can join hands without any conditions. After a few seconds, they hear some noise. Upon climbing a hill, Ryuta can clearly see a plane throwing rations attached to parachutes. One of the packages falls quite near. Ryuta excuses himself to claim it before someone shows up unannounced. He is almost there and about to jump towards it. But then he sees a girl running in the same direction. She gets to it before he can. Just as the joy of securing the box sets in, a bomb explodes right between her feet, killing her instantly. A few seconds later, Nobutaka Oda appears through the smoke, taking away her chip, ration, and BIMs. Ryuta points towards another parachute caught in a tree, not far away, but he doesn't want to risk it. Taira cheers him on and encourages him to try getting those supplies. They run towards the location. Ryuta uses his radar for extra precaution. No one seems to be in sight. They get to the tree, but to their surprise, they find a boy covered in blood, standing over a dead body lying next to that tree. Unbeknownst to them, Kosuke Kira, which happens to be the name of the little kid, is a serial murderer and rapist. Though only 14, he ran away from his abusive father and sought to pickpocketing. He eventually took the lives of 4 innocent women and had raped them afterwards. A man named Soichi Natsume was soon to present him in court as his lawyer. The detectives were certain that the child protection laws were definitely going to be in Kosuke's favor. Natsume and the boy have both been sent to the island. The man finds Kosuke killing frogs. He tries to make the kid understand that killing things for fun isn't something one should be doing. Kosuke, however, can't seem to comprehend that. Both of them see the food supplies falling and head towards it. Kosuke's father, Yoshihisa Kira, has also been sent along. He tries to blow the tree with Kosuke's bomb, but it doesn't work. He bullies his son into blowing the tree instead. As soon as the supply briefcase hits the ground, the father takes it and starts walking away, declaring that they can follow him if they want food. Natsume attempts to reason that they all have to share the contents of the food, but Yoshihisa starts belittling the man, telling him that the strongest rules in a place like this and calls it the law of the jungle. Kosuke can't take it anymore. He sneakily attaches his bomb to his father's chest. The men start panicking. Yoshihisa hurriedly tries to take off his shirt upon Natsume's suggestion, but before he can completely remove it, the bomb explodes, killing him on the spot. The son is over the moon with the horrendous sight in front of him, and happily turns to the lawyer, asking him if he would protect him and present him in court again. The lawyer has had enough and runs away from there. Just when the man leaves, Ryuta and Taira make their entrance. Once they gauge the situation, they decide to swiftly make an exit before they become the next targets of the boy. As they are fleeing, Taira tumbles down to the ground. Ryuta tells him to hide and stay still. That way, Kosuke's radar won't be able to spot him because radars only spot moving targets. Ryuta settles on teaching the kid a lesson and plans to capture his BIMs as well. Kosuke is right behind him, tracking his distance every now and then. Instead of getting further away, Ryuta charges towards the kid and they both fall next to each other. Ryuta successfully dodges his bomb and starts running again. He realizes that the kid is a 3-star ranked player in Betrayal because of the way he has tackled the situation. However, Ryuta himself is a 4-star player. He is certain that his skills surpass Kosuke's. The boy also notices that Ryuta is a Betrayal player, which means the standard game tactics will be useless on both of them, and laughs menacingly at the fact. While Kosuke is busy throwing bombs, Taira collects the green chip from Yoshihisa's body. Ryuta recognizes that one of the bombs the kid has is of the cracker kind. Now he needs to figure out the other kind in Kosuke's possession. Ryuta starts running away from him, but Kosuke isn't ready to let go. Ryuta sets up a bomb as a trap, but its explosion doesn't cause the kid any damage. He counterattacks by throwing an implosion bomb. It gets attached to Ryuta's bag. With a few seconds to spare, he quickly takes it off and throws it into the air. The bomb creates a sort of vacuum suction and explodes. It sure was a close call for Ryuta. Kosuke wants him to fight like he does in the game. He doesn't want Ryuta to hold back. The latter yells back that the kid is too young to even comprehend the difference between virtual and reality and shouldn't be running his mouth as if he has the grasp of things. Kosuke throws another bomb in his general direction. Angered, Ryuta impulsively throws a bomb at him, but Kosuke jumps away. The kid figures out that Ryuta possesses both timer as well as cracker bombs. Ryuta feels as if he is playing the virtual version of the game, and the whole setup is a dream, as if he's watching himself play from the screen. He believes it because the flames aren't as hot. Kosuke sees him in plain sight and throws an implosion bomb, but with Ryuta's quick reflexes, it gets attached to an empty fanny pack and explodes. Ryuta then starts running in circles and keeps cancelling his radar every time Kosuke tries to detect his movements before trying to throw a bomb. This tactic leaves the kid stressed and confused. Ryuta appears from behind and throws the bomb right at him. As the smoke clears up, reality kicks in when he sees the injured boy in front of him. He realizes that he is in fact living the real version of the game. Ryuta ties him to a tree trunk and takes away his BIMs, leaving behind a single chocolate bar. Kosuke demands for his name. He utters Sakamoto without looking back. The image of his name in the top 10 ranked players flashes in Kosuke's mind. He starts to laugh like crazy from the joy of encountering Ryuta, probably the only person enjoying his stay on the island. Ryuta and Taira eat their cup noodles after a long while of living on hunger. Taira thanks him over and over for the food supplies, as tears stream down his face. Ryuta watches in amazement because he has never seen someone ever thank him before like this. He just doesn't understand why he has been thrown on this island of doom. The scene switches to his home where his stepfather Hisanobu walks in on Yuki leaning next to a bathtub with her wrists slit. He hurriedly grabs a towel and is about to call the ambulance when she tells him that she knows he has been laid off from work and only pretends to go for their sake. She confesses that she did something horrible. It turns out that she was the one who had signed Ryuta's name to be taken away. Back at the island, they see Mitsuo's dead body slide down the waterfall. Ryuta goes to check if there could be a possible enemy up the stream, leaving behind Taira, but not before telling him to hide himself from any upcoming danger. As he leaves, Tyra collects another chip. While walking into the forest, Ryuta notices a corpse and almost throws up. He uses his radar and sees someone standing on top of a hill. It's Himiko. She takes out a bomb and throws it in the wrong direction. However, upon exploding, it releases a sort of gas. Ryuta figures that it's the burning gas type of BIM, which burns anything and everything that comes in contact with it. He makes it out of the forest alive, but ends up coming face to face with the girl. He swiftly throws his hands up, surrendering, telling her that he just wants to get off the island. The gamer notices the array of bombs she's collected, probably from killing all those people. He tries to offer her to join him, but if she doesn't want to, he could just walk away. Himiko doesn't let her guard down even for a second and activates her bomb, but after a bit she deactivates it. He takes a breath of relief, thinking he might have been convincing enough in his speech. As soon as he takes a step to get closer, she activates it again and throws it in his general direction. It misses him. He gets up and runs straight towards her through the smoke. She pulls out her stun gun. He starts dodging it. Her blue eyes and blonde hair fools him into thinking that maybe she is a foreigner. Himiko quickly corrects him, saying that she is in fact Japanese, and declares her hatred for all men. He falls to the ground and is about to get shocked, but he hits her arm away with his leg. She ends up shocking herself, falling on top of him. He coaxes her to get up, but she is completely knocked out. Ryuta removes her bomb packs in case she wakes up and loses her mind again. The girl is already having a nightmare about Mitsuo when she wakes up to Ryuta carrying her in his arms. Himiko tries to move her arm, but it is still numb from earlier. Not giving up, she manages to take out a bomb from her shirt pocket and activates it, claiming that she'd rather die than being abused by him. Ryuta calmly diffuses it before it explodes. Tears stream down her face as she cries. He takes her with him after realizing that she was actually going to throw away her life just like that. The three of them sit around a fire. Tyra offers her coffee in a noodle cup. Her eyes well up with tears as she takes a sip. The older man promises that they won't do anything weird if she stays with them. They just want to get off the island. She confesses that she doesn't even have anyone to go back to because they have put her on the island. The men are puzzled by her statement. Ryuta questions who has given her this information because nobody told them anything like that. Himiko says that she was told by those who had given her name, wanting her to disappear forever. She explains that it could be anyone the men might have recently had a fallout with. Tyra is reminded of a fight he recently had with a customer, while Ryuta's mind goes straight to the image of Yuki. It dawns on him that his own mother has put him on this island of death. Tyra tries to cheer up Himiko, telling her that they first need to get off the island. After that, they can talk things out with those people. His little motivational speech gets cut short by bushes rustling from behind them. Nothing comes up on Ryuta's radar. Maybe someone cancelled it. However, when Tyra starts flashing his light, they see bright glowing eyes, definitely not belonging to any human. Ryuta goes towards Himiko, trying to get her to run. Just then, giant Komodo dragons emerge from the bushes. The trio crosses the river, but Ryuta goes back to collect their BIMs. He smashes a giant rock on one of the dragon's heads, but when he throws a bomb at the other three surrounding Tyra and Himiko, it doesn't explode. His mind goes straight to the thought that maybe the bombs don't work because he didn't kill the kid. There's no identification of which one of the BIMs belongs to him. He starts checking and checking, but by the time he figures it out, one of the dragons has already bit Tyra's leg. He is a little too late with his bomb, though the dragons do scurry away after it explodes. They walk through the river for safety measures. Tyra carries the case with everything in it, and Ryuta carries Himiko on his back. The older man's leg keeps bleeding continuously. He starts speaking depressingly, questioning Ryuta's goodwill gesture of not leaving them behind. He confesses that every time Ryuta left him to fight, he would wonder if the gamer would even return. Tyra then says that the girl might be correct about how they were selected for the island, because even though he was kind to his family, he was a beast at work. He took advantage of the loopholes in the law. It wouldn't be a surprise if someone from work has given his name. He calls it karma. The dragons attack them while they are still in the river. Tyra starts to run away. Ryuta takes the route of the forest and keeps yelling Tyra's name. The radar won't even pick up his location. Did he make Ryuta carry the girl on purpose, so that he could get away with all the BIMs and food supply? The gamer stops dead in his tracks as the thought of abandonment starts swimming in his head. He hears the hissing sound of the dragon. It appears in front of them. Ryuta falls on the ground in horror, dropping Himiko as well. Just then, a homing BM starts to propel towards the dragon and explodes. Tyra appears right after. He didn't abandon them after all. They come across an abandoned building, but climbing it is another feat because the rusted ladder keeps breaking and carrying an unconscious Himiko isn't easy. The lizards find them there as well. Tyra throws his homing BIMs, but they aren't as powerful as the other types. Ryuta tries to wake her up, but then decides to leave her there. and climbs the ladder. Taira thinks that he might have given her up as a sacrifice, but with the advantage of the height, Ryuta throws a blazing gas beam at the lizards. He has successfully activated the beam with Himiko's fingers. The breeze blows the gas away from them and pushes it towards the forest, which will keep them safe for a while. Ryuta realizes that this would never have happened in the virtual game because detecting wind and using someone else's BIMs was never part of it. Himiko finally comes back to her senses. They make it to the top. There is a blood stain on one of the corners of the walls, but it seems to be from a previous game. Taira is running a high fever and his leg hurts. Another night approaches as the youngsters try to disinfect his wound, but it's a hassle. The next day arrives and they are still at the top of the building. Ryuta starts to wonder what will happen to them now. The scene switches to Tyrannos Japan's building. The men monitor their every move on the island. Takanohashi thinks that Ryuta will give them great data because it looks like he is making allies. Ryuta asks Himiko about her name, but she isn't interested in sharing any information and claims that she doesn't trust any men. Ryuta then asks about how she was able to acquire so much food and the different types of BIMs, because if she can use them, then that means that she must have murdered those people she took the BIMs from. Himiko doesn't want to disclose that information either, but then calls it self-defense. Ryuta can't make up his mind about if she is being for real or putting on an act. They get cut off by a sonar signal. Himiko says that she has been detected by whoever used that sonar and quietly picks up her bag to leave, but Ryuta informs her that he will act as a decoy to lure the enemy away. He goes deep into the forest, scanning the area. The radar picks up on a person coming towards him. Ryuta goes to the other end, thinking that if he is further away, then he won't need to fight them. But as soon as he scans the second time, he realizes that the person is literally behind him. He dodges the knife at the last moment. The person happens to be Masashi. A flashback to Himiko's and Ryuta's virtual wedding in Batum is shown. Ryuta wants to meet her in real life, but Himiko would rather have things the way they are. Back to reality, Ryuta gets attacked by Masashi's knife. Ryuta offers for him to join them in escaping from the island. He isn't even done talking when he gets attacked by a bomb from another direction. He nearly escapes death once again. Natsume is the one behind it. He has joined Masashi now. The latter lets Ryuta run away in order to track down the rest of his allies. Ryuta returns to the building, taking the long route back, but Himiko is certain that he must have left some sort of trail behind. She doesn't want to stay with them any longer. Ryuta tries to stop her, but an unexpected visitor shows up. Masashi has tracked him down the old mercenary way. He had realized that Himiko was with Ryuta after seeing the stun gun. He threatens to search Mitsuo's chip on Himiko. Ryuta musters up the courage to intervene, but the stun gun isn't working anymore. Masashi turns towards him, making it clear that a person either lives or dies on the island, and there is no way of escaping. The only way out is to collect chips from corpses. Ryuta argues that a game this size must have some balancing issues. He has worked as a debugger for Tyrannos Japan, and they are most likely the ones running this thing. He has a feeling that this game isn't complete yet, which means a blind spot does exist. Masashi isn't buying the story and calls it a child's foolish optimism. He injures Taira's hand and kicks Ryuta off the building, leaving Himiko all alone. Natsume also climbs up the ladder to join them. When Ryuta gains back his consciousness, he quickly makes his way up the ladder, only to witness the sight of Taira holding his injured hand and no sign of their BIMs or Himiko. Ryuta spots her phone and opens it. He sees her cosplay picture, quickly putting two and two together. Realizing that the costume and the name are the same as the girl he has married in the virtual game of Batum. He decides to go after her, but Taira doesn't want him to leave him all alone. He begs for the gamer to stay with him, or else he would lose his mind, but Ryuta climbs down the ladder, leaving the man behind to dwell in his own misery. Heavy rain starts to pour down on the island. Natsume and Masashi enjoy the stolen food supplies, while they have Himiko tied to a bed. She begs Masashi to let her die pure. He pulls out his knife and settles on torturing her by slowly cutting her wrist. They get interrupted by a sonar signal. Himiko signals back. It seems as if she is communicating with someone. Masashi knows that this means Ryuta is still alive. The men decide on Natsume ambushing him with his bomb set to the timer of 3 seconds. There's silence after 2 bombs. Someone is still on the move. Masashi thinks that Natsume might have taken his life, but then the thought of Ryuta killing Natsume crosses his mind and he quickly takes cover. Masashi almost attacks Natsume, thinking that it might be Ryuta. Meanwhile, the latter makes it to the room where Himiko is held hostage. A bomb is placed on top of the door frame. Ryuta catches it right before it hits the floor. He turns the timer off. A sigh of relief escapes from his mouth. He is lucky to disarm it, making it his property. Ryuta walks inside the room where she is tied to the bed. He utters the name which she has used in the virtual game of Batum, telling her that he saw it on her phone and that he has played with a girl named Himiko. She is reminded of their in-game wedding, but she denies any interaction and says that she has only heard Ryuta's name from her friends playing the game. He is disappointed because he thought that she was the same Himiko and got the courage to save her. But then again, 3 million copies of the game were sold and there could be more users sharing the same name. Though he is glad he listened to his heart in rescuing her. Masashi scans the area, alerting them as well. He instructs Natsume to trap them from one direction while he goes around the other. The lawyer starts running like crazy after Ryuta, calling it self-defense as he throws bombs at him. The latter throws that diffused bomb right in his face, but on the other hand, Himiko is held hostage once again by Masashi. The man throws away his knife, telling him that they can have a hand-to-hand combat. All he needs are their chips because he is certain Himiko has Mitsuo's as well. After he is done collecting theirs, he can easily take away Taira's and Natsume's, making it 6 chips. He already has one from his previous killing. In total, he will have 8 to escape from the island. He even offers all 8 to Ryuta if the gamer manages to take Masashi's life. Ryuta quickly moves to grab the knife. Masashi kicks him hard, pushing him to the other end. He already knew that Ryuta was going to take the knife like most people do. Masashi starts beating him, then twists his arm, making the knife hit the ground right next to Ryuta. The younger one starts having a flashback to the life he has wasted away, thinking that this is how he is going to meet his end, but then Himiko jumps right on top of the man. He throws her off like a ragdoll though, quickly realizes that she has attached the blazing gas BM to him. This gives Ryuta the time to escape with Himiko. They keep running but reach a dead end. The gas almost reaches them when Ryuta notices an opening on the ceiling. He climbs out through it and starts pulling up Himiko. She feels Masashi's hand grabbing her. His skin has sagged and almost melted away with the gas. Ryuta throws a bomb at him and pulls Himiko out of there as the man gets distracted by the bomb. Masashi picks it up, thinking that he still has a few seconds to spare, but when he sees the time on the bomb, he realizes that Ryuta has thrown Natsume's bomb, which was set to a 3 seconds timer. It ends up exploding in his hands. Ryuta holds Himiko close as the explosion takes place. The company monitoring them watches the scene as if they are witnessing it in a virtual cinema. The man calls the game balanced after this 3rd round. A flashback begins of the time Himiko was bullied at school for leaving behind the girls at the apartment. That night, she had logged into Batum and Ryuta had met her virtually. He chose to stay by her side rather than bombard her with questions, which was exactly what she needed. In the real Batum, they have just escaped the mouth of death. Ryuta holds the chips in his hands, lamenting about how Masashi's will was way stronger than his own because Ryuta didn't want to participate in the murder fest, but when it came to saving his life, his resolve had deterred, and he chose to live. Later that night, 2 other players, Hidemi Kinoshita and Hitoshi Kakimoto, are working as allies, where the latter has promised to protect her. However, as soon as the Komodo dragons appear, she pushes him towards them, claiming that she needs the chips to get off the island and would go to any length, even if it results in murder. On top of that, she throws a bomb into the pit to eliminate any chances of survival. Takanahashi explains to the CEO of the company that she displays the usual reaction of people on the island. They are ready to kill once their survival is at stake. The CEO takes interest in it though, complains about how the gore is just unpleasant to watch. But Takanohashi suggests that they can convert it into 3D graphics to make it appealing for the rest of the world. Ryuta and Himiko take refuge in an abandoned building for the night. He gives her some cookies and a change of clothes to sleep comfortably in. He then informs her that he's going to sleep in another room for her comfort, but she is too scared, and they end up sharing a room by drawing a line with their belongings. Ryuta thanks her for saving his life earlier. Himiko verbalizes her gratitude to him as well, and calls him crazy for rescuing her without any BIMs. He confesses that maybe he wasn't thinking straight with everything happening so suddenly, and the thought of the Himiko he knew online being in danger made him rush towards her. But since she claims to not be that girl, he is just glad that she is safe. Ryuta then goes on to explain how he's a NEET and has spent his time playing Batum. He had associated his virtual life with his real life and thought that his virtual friends were everything to him. Himiko in the virtual world cared, which made him happy. However, now that he thinks about it, maybe he was starving for human interaction in real life. When he doesn't get a reply from her, he thinks that she must have fallen asleep. Unbeknownst to him, she silently cries, knowing the fact that he is the same Ryuta that she's married to in the virtual game, and on top of that, him rescuing her felt as if the scene was straight out of a movie. She almost slips into dream world, but is sucked right out when she wakes up to someone with disheveled hair flashing a light in her face. She screams at the top of her lungs, altering Ryuta. He tells her maybe she's just imagining things, but Himiko insists that she really did see someone with a flashlight. Ryuta suggests for them to split to make the search quick, but she doesn't want to be left alone in the dark. He hands her the flashlight, telling her to ping twice if he is needed, and runs towards an illuminated window. Upon entering the room, he is met with a setup for someone. There's a lantern, clothes, food, books, and everything else a person would need to survive. Whoever it is must have been living in the room for a while now. The realization of this being a trap to lure him in hits him like a ton of bricks. He starts backing up, but soon that person who Himiko claimed to have seen appears with a sickle. Ryuta narrowly escapes the hit and throws her away with his legs. Upon looking at the person, it's a woman with her left hand amputated and no indication of a chip. Ryuta takes Himiko to the unconscious woman. She slowly starts to gain consciousness, and as soon as her eyes fall on Ryuta, she starts thrashing around. Himiko orders Ryuta to leave the room as she tries to calm her down. Once the woman is stable enough, Himiko asks about her. The woman warns the girl about men being a danger to have around and that it is even more foolish to trust one. She then reiterates her story. The woman turns out to be a player from the previous game who has been abandoned by a man she once trusted. Her name is Shiki Murasaki, and she worked as a nurse in an understaffed hospital. One day, a surgeon messed up his case, but because the nurse respected him, she altered the data to save his reputation. Once word got out, he put the whole blame on the nurse. She ended up on the island with him. They teamed up to collect chips. However, when it came down to the 6th chip, which meant that one of them could easily get off the island, the surgeon chose himself and blasted her. But the bomb only decapitated her left arm. He took the chip and left on a helicopter without looking back. The nurse warns Himiko to stay alert because if she trusts Ryuta, then she should be ready to have that trust tested once they are down to the 6th chip. Himiko tells Ryuta the whole thing, leaving out the 6th chip part. He starts to think optimistically and suggests that with all the BIMs that they possess, they could easily hijack the helicopter to escape. Meanwhile, Tyra has been treated by none other than the said surgeon. He has ended up on the island for the 2nd time. He introduces himself as a doctor named Date from Chiba Hospital. Tyra thinks that he has been bandaged because the man is doing his part as a doctor, but little does he know that Date is saving him for later to take his chip. Just then, Himiko and Ryuta arrive back and are faced with the arrival of a new face. Date realizes that Tyra isn't completely alone. He quickly puts on a harmless survivor act, telling them that he was just passing by and performed his doctor duties. Date even willingly lets them check his BIMs, which happen to be the remote control sort. Ryuta thinks that the man doesn't want to murder any player since he hasn't used any of his BIMs, but the truth is that he hadn't come across anyone for 3 days straight. The boy foolishly tells him about their plan of escaping on a helicopter, and tells him that they have already collected 3 chips. Upon hearing the number, Date quickly agrees on helping them escape from the island. He goes on to introduce himself as Masahito Date. They spot a plane dropping food supplies and the 3 of them rush towards it. As they are running, they get pinged by other radars, signaling that other players are after the supply as well. Ryuta shares the idea of pinging the other unknown players every few seconds to scare them away. It seems to work, but one of them, Nobutaka Oda, isn't backing down and starts to run at an equal pace right next to Ryuta. They jump towards the supply briefcase, but it blows away with the strong wind. The man isn't showing any signs of backing away still. Ryuta realizes that he's the same man he saw blowing up a woman for a supply briefcase. Hidemi has teamed up with him now. She sees Himiko and throws a bomb at her. She walks away without any remorse or guilt. Meanwhile, Date is able to grab the briefcase, but the wind is too strong and starts to pull him away. Nobutaka throws a gas beam at the man. Ryuta yells for the latter to let it go. He attaches his timer beam to the parachute strap. It blasts off the supply case, hurling it down the hill. Ryuta and Nobutaka run towards it. However, Ryuta is the one who successfully grabs it. Meanwhile, in the forest, Hidemi is unable to collect the chip due to the gas spreading. Just when she thinks Himiko is dead, the girl runs towards her out of nowhere, shocking her. Himiko reveals that she had panicked at the last moment and had tossed the BIM away. She regrets not throwing it at her. Himiko tries to scare the woman away with her BIMs and stun gun, but Hidemi isn't fazed by it and is ready to beat her with her fists. On the other hand, Nobutaka isn't giving up on the briefcase. To make matters worse, Ryuta gets surrounded by 1300 degrees Celsius oil splashing flame BIMs, thrown by another player called Tomoaki Iwakura. The man has formed an alliance with Kosuge. Nobutaka runs through the flames, kicks Ryuta, snatches the case and runs straight into the water down below. Ryuta is left stunned. He quickly gains his senses and follows suit. Back in the forest, Hidemi jumps on Himiko and drops her to the ground in a tight chokehold. Himiko fights back, not sure why. Ryuta's image flashes, though she tries to deny that he doesn't hold any meaning for her. However, her resolve doesn't crumble. Himiko successfully throws Hidemi off herself, making the woman hit a tree trunk. A bomb gets thrown towards them and they both jump away. Date is the one responsible for it. To his disappointment, Himiko is alive. He quickly puts on an act, pretending to be worried about her. Himiko sees right through his little performance but pretends otherwise, scared she might be killed. The only person she can fully trust is Ryuta. Speaking of him, he makes it out of the water but can't see any signs of Nobutaka. Just then, Tomoaki walks out of the forest, talking to himself about how Kosuke was being foolish for thinking the men would be on the shore. He isn't even done with that thought when he spots the briefcase. He happily goes towards it, and as soon as he bends down to pick it up, a blast takes place. Turns out, Nobutaka has tricked him the same way he had tricked the girl. Nobutaka takes his chip and his BIM's bag. He's about to go on his merry way, but Ryuta yells from behind to stop and threatens him with a cracker bim, telling him to drop his things. The man obeys. He drops everything on the sand, including his chips, and slowly moves away. Ryota is puzzled by the man's compliance. He is certain that something isn't right. Ryuta's mind goes towards a booby trap, thinking that Nobutaka probably has a remote control type of BIM, but the latter's hands are empty. Ryuta slowly moves towards the things, and as soon as he leans down, Nobutaka hits the blast button. Ryuta was correct. The man does have remote control BMs, but he was holding the controller in his mouth. Nobutaka pings the area, certain that he has won, but to his surprise, the boy shows up in his radar, still alive. The personnel back at the company hold their breaths as they watch the scene unfold. Who would win the game because both of their chips combined could enable one of them to leave the island? Takanohashi explains that Ryuta has survived because they all were watching it from Nobutaka's point of view, which meant that they only got to see as much as the man could from his peripheral vision. However, Ryuta already knew that it was a trap and didn't even get close to it. Though it did seem like that to Nobutaka, the latter takes another BIM from Tomoki's limp hand. Ryuta has already started running towards the ocean. Nobutaka throws it at him, angered at the fact that he isn't fighting back. Ryuta successfully saves himself from the blast by diving into the water. As he emerges towards the shore, Nobutaka recognizes him from somewhere, but doesn't give him any information and walks away, leaving him puzzled. Just then, Ryuta hears Kosuke laughing like crazy, complimenting him over his fighting skills. He runs away with Ryuta's BIM bag, though it initially belonged to the boy. Ryuta doesn't have any more energy left in him and falls flat on the sand. Himiko and Date arrive just on time. The latter puts on a show of fake concern while Himiko throws herself at him, genuinely worried. He gets embarrassed and tells her that his clothes are soaking wet and he hasn't taken a bath. Meanwhile, Hidemi ungratefully complains about the food that Nobutaka shares with her after all the struggle he has gone through. The other three make it back to the building. Ryuta is still thinking about the man's voice being so familiar. The gamer keeps thinking till he remembers someone from his high school whose face matches with his aka Nobutaka Oda. He was a popular kid and excelled in everything unlike Ryuta, though he still talked to Ryuta, who was almost a nobody at school, maybe because they both had single mothers. Ryuta had finally opened up to him, the way he thought Nobutaka had. Then, one fine day, Ryuta told him about his crush on a girl named Aiko. Nobutaka, despite knowing that Ryuta liked her, hooked up with her. He confessed about it to Ryuta, and the latter saw red. He remembers punching him on the rooftop till people had arrived and intervened. They both got suspended, and Nobutaka ended up dropping out of school. Rumor has it that he had started his own club and became a host. Ryuta wishes he could have asked for an explanation from him. Ryuta ends up making a makeshift curry from the little bit of food supply remaining in Date's briefcase, which the man obviously regrets sharing. He doesn't even understand why he had joined them. He tells Ryuta that they need to get more food tomorrow. He usually hears the sound of the airplane at noon. Ryuta agrees, though Himiko keeps scowling. The boy tries to feed Taira, but he doesn't have the appetite for it. Date checks his pulse and informs them that they need to get a serum for the venom spreading through Taira's body, or else he could die from it. Himiko asks for Ryuta to have a word with him. She tells him about Murasaki, informing her about some medicine in that building. Ryuta wants to take Date along with them because he is a doctor and could identify the meds. Date is planning on getting rid of them when Ryuta comes back with the news. They set out for the medicine, leaving poor Taira alone once again. On the way, Ryuta confronts Himiko about her hatred for Date. To him, the doctor looks like a good man. Himiko warns him about it all being an act. She still can't get the image of him throwing the bomb at her and Hidemi out of her head. She is certain that he wanted them both dead and can't trust him a single bit. Ryuta tries to remind her that the man hadn't used any of his BIMs and had shared valuable food with them. They reach the entrance and start whispering about how they have to keep Murasaki's existence a secret. Date starts to suspect them, but Himiko lies about stumbling upon some medicine when she got lost in the building. They decide on splitting to make the search easier. Date remembers the maze of hallways of the building from his previous match. He tosses in a few bottles, knowing that they are most likely expired or of no use. Ryuta finds him there. Date asks him if they don't trust him, guilt tripping him, telling him that in order to survive, he needs to put his trust in people. He then hands Ryuta the briefcase and starts walking out of the room. Before leaving, Ryuta pings Himiko, but he notices her running towards them. She sticks her head out through a nearby window, hurriedly telling Ryuta to drop the briefcase. The boy is confused by her statement. Date is left shocked at how she has figured it out. Himiko yells back that a bomb has been planted in the case. As soon as she finishes her sentence, the briefcase explodes. Date walks through the smoke, smugly declaring that he had intended to kill the both of them with the BIM, but he had no idea she could figure out his trick in the first place. Nevertheless, he'd just have to get rid of her as well. He's about to charge his bomb towards her, but he gets cut off by Murasaki attacking him from the back with her sickle. 10 minutes earlier, Himiko had found Murasaki and told her about Taira's injury. Unfortunately, there wasn't any medication for the cure of the venom, but Murasaki directed Himiko towards a room where she could find antibiotics and painkillers. Himiko had told her about not trusting one of the men from her group, pointing towards Date through the window. The man was busy putting random bottles in the suitcase. Murasaki had instantly recognized him, and when she saw him handing the briefcase to Ryuta, she was certain that Date had planted a bomb in it. As soon as she relayed that information to Himiko, the girl dashed, worried for Ryuta's life. Back to the present. Date informs them that he has installed BIMs throughout the building. One explodes a few feet away from them. Murasaki steps out of the window. Date sarcastically praises her for patching up the arm she had lost because of him. She counters back by laughing about the fact that he has landed himself on the island back again. Date is about to throw Ryuta's BIM at her, but instead she throws Himiko's at him. Though the girl is alive, she has activated it for Murasaki to use it. She starts running towards him as soon as he dashes away, luring her even further till she reaches the other end of the wall. She falls for his trick yet again, and he presses the button, making the bomb explode. Murasaki falls down to the ground with the impact, the BIM slipping out of her hand. Now only Himiko remains. He plans to take her life next. This way he will be in possession of 2 more chips. The kids already had 3 chips, and by killing Taira he will acquire 6. Himiko starts crying about not confessing to Ryuta about her identity. Date walks towards the girl with Ryuta's BIM, but when he throws it at her, it doesn't explode. Confused, he uses his radar just in case. To his horror, Ryuta is walking towards them through the rubble, still alive. Date demands how he has survived the blow. A flashback to 5 minutes before the explosion is shown. Ryuta had tossed away his BIM bag once Himiko had informed him about the bomb. Date ran out of the room so he didn't see Ryuta tossing the briefcase to the other end of the room and jumping into the opening for a ladder. In the present time, Ryuta informs them that his old naive self is dead now. He will not let Date use another BIM besides the remote control type, which the man has already planted throughout the building, rendering him unarmed. Ryuta threatens him to give up, or else he will use his cracker BIM on the man. Date turns around and starts running. He lures Ryuta into one of the rooms where he has planted a bomb, right in front of Ryuta's feet, hidden under a few wooden planks. He activates it, but hears its sound from behind himself. Ryuta informs him that he had changed its place when Date was busy running after Himiko. The bomb explodes, injuring Date. Himiko asks Ryuta what they are going to do now. Ryuta has understood the fact that the man wanted them dead right from the start, and his only interest was in their chips. Murasaki calls them from behind, telling them that she'll deal with the man. The woman is still alive even after the fall. She brings her sickle to his throat. He gives her a pathetic look, which makes her reluctant and all the more angry at the same time. Murasaki brings down her sickle, but it hits the ground right next to him. He wonders if she has forgiven him, but she angrily reminds him with a tear-stained face that would never happen. She slowly leans down on him and cries her heart out. Afterwards, Himiko takes a shower while Ryuta stays on guard for any intruders. He shares the fact that he can't understand why Murasaki chose to tend to the man who did her dirty in the previous survival game. Himiko thinks that she might understand the woman just a little bit. Right now, she wants to take the medicine to Taira as soon as possible. Ryuta suggests that they take the chips from the dead bodies along the way, which will make it 6 chips. They can then call the helicopter and escape on it together. The duo sets out with hope in their hearts, but upon arrival, there are no chips. Mitsuo's chip is missing as well. Himiko is reminded of the unfortunate series of events that led to the man's death. But Ryuta reminds her that she took the man's life in self-defense. While walking back to Taira, Ryuta is reminded of the fact that only the former knew about those bodies. Maybe he could have taken those chips, but Ryuta tries not to suspect the old man. As they reach the abandoned building, they hear a humming sound. Upon a closer listen, Ryuta realizes that it's a homing BEM, and Taira is the one who possesses it. The BIM starts coming towards them. Being left behind again and again took a toll on Taira's mind, especially after his injury. This time he starts to hallucinate. He keeps hearing his son calling for him. Taira goes towards the ladder, only to see his son Yuzuhiko standing on the ground, telling his father that he misses him. Taira laments about not having enough chips to get back to him, but then he sees the apparition of his wife next to his son's. She tells him that he needs to count again. Taira takes out the 2 chips, but then is reminded of the 3 chips which Ryuta has. This makes 5, and with the youngsters dead, the total number will be 7, giving him the pass to exit from the island. His family's operations disappear, but he makes up his mind to take the lives of the duo heading back for him. As they reach the abandoned building, they hear a humming sound. Upon a closer listen, Ryuta realizes that it's a homing BIM locked on him. He starts running in circles until he slips on a few metal rods. He picks up one and hits the BIM with it. Ryuta knows that Taira is the one in possession of this type of BIM. He yells for the man, but Himiko alerts him about the next BIM locked on him. Ryuta hits it, but it still explodes near him, injuring his leg. Himiko cries out for the man to stop playing this awful game. She is reminded of Murasaki's words. They will be tested when it gets to the 6th chip. She starts to wonder if Taira is betraying them for the chips. Ryuta keeps pinging but doesn't get any response from the older man. He is then reminded of how Taira had once told him that he was scared of being abandoned by Ryuta. The boy blames himself for making him feel so anxious to the point that the man has lost it. He feels as if he has done to Taira what his father did to him. Ignored Ryuta and his mother, giving all of his time to his job. He is then reminded of how she had remarried without even considering asking him first. Ryuta feels guilty for not even once thinking about how Taira must have felt every time Ryuta had left him behind. A third homing BIM starts making its way towards them. Taira watches from behind the bushes. Instead of running away, Himiko stands in front of Ryuta and catches the BIM in her hands. She deactivates it and stands her ground, protecting Ryuta from being targeted. A flashback from the game crosses his mind. She had protected him the same way during the virtual game. This time, he is certain that she is the same Himiko. Taira isn't backing off until they are both dead. He has launched yet another BM towards them. Himiko stands in front of it, thinking that it is still locked on Ryuta, but the latter quickly catches on because why would Taira waste his BIMs? Of course he wouldn't. The old man is too smart for that. This means Himiko is the next target. Ryuta somehow manages to jump just enough to grab the BIM coming straight towards her and deactivates it. Taira is left stunned at Ryuta's action. He starts running away. Ryuta's pinging makes him even more anxious, afraid that he is sure going to die this time. The younger yells for the man to get back, limping after him. Taira takes out the last BIM with the aim of killing them, but then he hears Ryuta wanting to apologize and voices out his desire of heading back home together with him. Taira's guard lowers down a bit. However, just when it looks like he is about to change his mind, he gets surrounded by those giant lizards. He instantly thinks that this is karma for what he tried to do to the youngsters, but his excuse is that he only wanted to be with his family. Taira locks the last homing BIM on himself and commits suicide. They hear the explosion, but he's already gone when they find him. Ryuta mourns his loss, especially because he didn't get the chance to apologize to the old man for leaving him behind. Night has arrived. They have once again taken refuge in that abandoned building. Himiko asks if Taira wanted to betray them the same way Date had. Ryuta doesn't agree. He still thinks of him as a normal, ordinary man and blames himself for Taira's death. Himiko pulls out 3 chips, one of which belongs to Taira, and the other 2 which he had taken in secrecy. She wants Ryuta to leave without her. Himiko is ready to sacrifice herself for him to escape from the island because to her there is no point in returning. She thinks about how Ryuta was the shining light in her dull world. Their hearts were connected even when they were far apart. After being thrown on this island, he has saved her numerous times and has been her hope for survival. She sincerely tells him that she would rather have him live. Ryuta gets offended when he hears her say this. He angrily asks if this is the sort of person she thinks he is, sacrificing her in order to escape from the island. He clearly states that he would never abandon her, neither in real nor in the virtual world. He confesses that he has realized she is the same Himiko from the virtual game. They bring their hands together, Their fingers intertwine as they kiss. Ryuta stops, as takes in Himiko's scared frame. He comforts her by saying that he wants to get out of this hell to officially start dating her. Himiko is relieved to hear it. Back in Tokyo, a team is being sent to the island because of some technical difficulty. Meanwhile, everyone there, whom Ryuta has come across so far, has formed an alliance, waiting for what more the island has in store for them. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.